All right, and welcome back to our final lesson of our sub lesson of lesson 2, lesson 2.3 condition ratings. All right, this will culminate everything you'll need from before: quality, building materials, housing stuff, everything we talked about before. My name is Tyler Scott. It's with the Scott Family Real Estate. This is DIY Home Valuation Mastery, and let's get started. All right, as same as quality, we have the agenda, which is that we're going to go over the condition rating scale, condition rating number 1, all the way through condition rating number 6. As you can see here, how to apply a condition rating and then a conclusion. All right, so C1, no signs of wear or tear. Emphasis on the word no. And so, like a Q1, a C1 is not going to exist in every market. A C1 is quite literally no signs of wear and tear. Not a 1. Unlike quality, condition is defined by the slightest of movement. If there is wear and tear, if there's even a little bit of wear and tear, it automatically goes down to a C2, right? While in a Q1, it's like the majority of the home has to be Q1, and as long as 51% of the home is Q1, then it's Q1. Well, on a C rating, it's whatever, it goes by the lowest level, right? It just takes, even if 1% is a C2, it's a C2. I don't care if the rest of it's C1, it's C2. Nearly new condition, effective age between 1 and 3 years. All right, we'll talk about effective age in a little bit. C3, well-maintained, minimal wear. C4, adequate maintenance, mild wear. Majority of homes are on the market are C4s. Okay, mild wear, adequate maintenance. They're taking care. They're taking care of the home, but people live there, right? C5, functional but needs repair and needs rehab. Emphasis on the word needs, right? It's not something like your bathroom's outdated, it needs repair. That's not a need. That's, hey, you could get more value. That's a quality question. A condition question is you have a bathroom but the sink don't work, right? Or the mirror's all busted, or there's leaking from the tub. And the tub's not effective as it should be, right? That's when we start talking about condition. That's the difference between condition and quality. Quality would say it needs rehab, say for more value, like, oh, you need tile, you need to upgrade the bathroom. Condition, you could have an upgraded bathroom and a standard bathroom, and then they could be the same condition rating. All right. C6, poorly maintained, significant damage. Q5 to Q6 ratings, right, will likely be a C6. Condition rating number 1. Now, I use this example here because what you see is what you probably see in a lot of things. C1 homes show no signs of physical wear and tear. The property improvements are new or nearly new with no prior occupancy. The entire structure, along with its major and minor components, is in excellent condition. Oh my goodness. So, I'm so sorry. The long day, 3 kids. Yeah. Anyway, so when you look at a condition rating, no one should have lived in the home. Does that mean all brand new builds are C1? No, it doesn't. C1 is top of the line quality, top of the line efficiency, and top of the line building here. Okay? Just because if something's a Q4 and it's brand new build, it's not going to be a C1. It's not. It's not, because it's probably not built the same way. Now, I know you're thinking, well, isn't that quality? It's not quality. What I'm talking about is not the structure of the property or the quality of the property. What I'm talking about is the condition. If the builder condition makes a Q4, there's likely mistakes that were likely not as efficient features or likely not as well done features that won't make it a C1. C1 is immaculate. It doesn't get better as a condition. Newly built improvements using recycled materials or components can be considered new as long as the home is on a 100% new foundation. The recycled materials and parts have been remanufactured into like new condition, and there is zero notable physical depreciation. C2 homes, right? C2 homes are rather nearly new or have recently been completely renovated, resembling new construction in condition. The enhancements exhibit no deferred maintenance, minimal physical depreciation, and need no repairs. Nearly all building components are either new or recently repaired, refinished, or rehabbed. Outdated components and finishes have been replaced with ones meeting current standards. So let's take a look at this picture for a second. That's a little bit difficult. Like the Q1 and the Q2 rating, they're very fine lines. Same with C1 and C2. C2, I'm looking at this as an experienced appraiser and I go, yeah, C2 makes sense. But you're like, well, why? What's the difference between that one and this one? Well, if you notice on the last one, there was nothing on the walls. Everything in that home, other than the standard furniture that was on top of a rug that was protecting the flooring, you are seeing more living issues here. For example, telltale sign. Let's take a look at the pictures on the walls. They have to be hung up somehow, which means there's likely nails in the walls, which means there's likely minimal physical depreciation right there in the definition. It's minimal, but there is physical depreciation there. That's how fine that C1 to C2 is. And because we're in a condition rating, not a quality rating, if I was in a quality rating, I'm like, yeah, most of this is Q1, so I'd go Q1. But only one piece of it has to be C2 to make it C2. And that right there, having something hung up on the walls which are affecting the physical depreciation of the walls themselves, it's an automatic. Other than an installed thing like the chandelier there is likely installed, other than installed, that's physical depreciation, even though it's minimal, right? And that in itself makes it a C2. That's very hard. It's very hard to differentiate when you're in person. But no, most homes you have will not be C1, they will not be C2. They'll likely be between C3 and C4. Just like Qs. So let's take a look at this C3. A home with C3 rating has been generally well maintained, and it's in its first cycle of replacing short-lived building components, e.g. Appliances, HVAC, floor coverings. The improvements are well kept, showing minimal, oh my goodness, so sorry, it's the third time, minimal physical depreciation from regular wear and tear, while some components, though not all major building elements, might be updated or recently rehabbed. The structure has not undergone a complete renovation. So take a look at this home. I used an older style home here to emphasize a C3 rating. You see the door there. The door looks older, doesn't look replaced, doesn't look rehabbed, looks like it's in original condition. All right, the wood door, the wood panel door. You look at the bookcase, there's probably some damage in there. There's some wear and tear, some things like that. Now, overall, it looks very, very nice. You see a shine right off the floor. You see, but there's probably some scuff marks because you see this furniture is directly on the floor, not on a carpet protecting that flooring, right? You're looking at things of that nature. However, it's well maintained. C3 is still a very good condition rating, all right? It's just saying that people live there. People are living there, and it's got good appliance, it's got good HVAC, it's got good floor coverings. It does not need any maintenance. That's all this is saying. It's been updated, it's been rehabbed. It doesn't need any fixtures. C1 and C2 are so fine line difference between perfect building to barely perfect building to C3 more livable. People have been living in it. But it's been very well maintained, but people are living in it. And that's essentially what a C3 is. C4, all right, this is where the other half of your homes are going to come into play. C4 is an adequately maintained property, meaning they're maintained, it's cleaned up, they're taking care of it. The property improvements show light or slight deferred maintenance and minor physical decline from regular wear and tear. Again, this is regular wear and tear. Minor, not minimal. Minor physical decline from regular wear and tear. The home has been fairly well kept and needs only cosmetic or minor repairs. So we look on that word needs. Needs cosmetic or minor repairs. So let's take a look at this photo. When we talk about cosmetic meaning a facelift, right? It needs, for real estate, a facelift. It probably needs some new cabinets, right? But they're functional. However, what it does likely needs, it needs a new oven. And that oven is installed. So because the oven's installed, we likely need new ones there. Or maybe the wall space there, you see all that sun or that like sunlight top of the wall space there, that can be covered up, or maybe that needs taken down, or maybe however that needs fixed up. But you can take a look at this and you can find some minor physical decline from regular wear and tear. Maybe there's damage to the cabinets or inside the cabinets. Maybe there's some issues there. Anything installed, it's not really updated. This looks like it's a 2005 home to 2010 home, right? It's not updated, but it's not crap either. It's a nice home. Most people would say it's a nicer home. It's been adequately maintained, right? This is very hard, right? This is where experience comes in and goes, is this a C4 rating? Is this a C3 rating, right? I'm going to put this as a C4. Obviously, I use it as an example, but you're not seeing the rest of the home. And that's why inspections are extremely important. Let's keep moving. Because you're never going to be able to determine a C4 or a C. You're not going to be able to determine any quality or any condition rating without doing an inspection, either virtual, inadvertently, or indirectly, an indirect, a virtual, or an in-person. Indirect meaning through photos. Like if you have a home on Zillow, that's like, oh, you have every single picture of the outside, every single picture of the inside, several pictures of angles within the rooms. Yeah, you could probably do evaluation. You could probably make a pretty fair adjustment as long as the photos are updated or recent. And yeah, you can make a pretty good adjustment there. However, the most accurate rating or evaluation you're going to have is by doing an in-person evaluation or inspection. Condition 5 rating. You see the difference here. A C5 home has not been adequately maintained, but is functional and does not have any significant safety concerns. The enhancements show noticeable deferred maintenance and need substantial repairs. Certain building components require repairs, rehab, or updates. While the functional utility and overall livability are somewhat diminished, the structure remains usable and functional. While the functional utility and overall livability are somewhat diminished, the structure remains usable and functional as a residential dwelling. Many of the short-lived building components are at the end or past their life expectancy. So let's take a look at the photo. You've got issues within the walls and paintings. Probably need some wall damage. Probably there looks like there's some liquid back there. You've got a heater next to the window that needs updated or replaced. Every one of your appliances in there need replaced. You've got damage in the flooring. I mean, look at the flooring, it's bubbling up. You've got some, it looks like kind of awkward. There's probably some damage within the cabinets. Definitely need some new ones there. But is it livable? Yeah, it's livable. You could put someone in there. They could live in there. Functional. They have a functional kitchenette right here, right? And that's what makes it a C5. It's not. It has. I mean, the whole thing needs updated. Sure, for value, for functionality, it needs better functionality, but it is livable, and that's kind of your baseline for a C5. Like the Qs, most homes are not going to be. You're not going to find a C5 rating on most homes, but you will find them, and you need to make sure that even if your kitchen looks like this and the rest of the home looks immaculate, that's a C5. That's a C5 rating kitchen. That's a C5 rating house. So let's take a look at the last one here. All right, and this is condition 6, condition rating 6. A C6 home is poorly maintained. The improvements suffer from significant damage or deferred maintenance with defects severe enough to impact safety, soundness, or structural integrity. Oh my gosh. Substantial repairs and rehab are required, encompassing many or most major building components, whereas normally it would be inappropriate to assign either a lower or higher overall rating based on one or more minor, inferior or superior areas of the property improvements. The C6 rating is an exception. If any part of the dwelling is rated C6, the entire thing must be rated C6. Now, what it said right there is it's inappropriate to assign either a lower or higher rating based on one or two minor defects. It's not true, right? Because, like I mentioned earlier on a C2 or a C3, I put that in there because that's what the definition is. However, like I said, if there's any minimal damage, it's not a C1, it's a C2. If there's any minor damage, but it's adequately maintained, you're automatically in the C3, C4 range, right? Minor, minimal. Those are very slight lines. Now, and that could be one thing, right? Now, obviously, if you have a C5 kitchenette and the rest of the home looks C1, right? But there's no way the rest of the home could be C1 because no one would have lived in it. So C5 is significant living wear and tear. So you're not going to have a C1 home with a C5 kitchen. It's not possible unless a fire went off, in which case you'd have a C6 kitchen and not a C1 home, right? But then you'd have the smell. You have a smoke smell, so then you'd at least be a C2, C3, even if it was immaculate. Whereas normally it would be inappropriate to assign. Yeah, I just read that whole thing to you. So take a look on the inside. It's safety. You can't live in there. You can't live in there. You walk in. This is a Q6 home. This is a C6 home. Everything's 6. That Q6, the C6 is just saying that it's condemnable. You can't live in there. It's terrible, right? And I think you understand this. So let's take a look at a practical exercise. All right. Stay with me on this one. Okay, try to focus. Take a look at the inside picture. Once again, I know that you're not going to be able to provide an accurate condition rating based on one picture. Bear with me here as we work through an example. This is how to apply the C rating. A home has recently been inspected by yourself, and it has been concluded that the home has the following features. It was built in 1975. It's had 2 owners. Second owner bought and completely renovated the home in 2015. Is looking to sell in the year 2025. Effective age of updates is 10 years old, right? So they renovated it in 2015. They're looking to sell in 2025, 10 years later after updates. You've determined the Q rating is a Q3. It's a quality 3 rating. And now must determine the condition rating. Based on the photo to the left and the previously stated information, how would you likely rate the condition of this home? I'm going to give you a second to really think about it. All right, let me help you out with some things here. Look at the property itself. Look at the picture. All right, it was built in 1975. You've determined that it's had only 2 owners, right? You've seen that through its records. You've seen that it's the year 2025, and the last time it was updated was 10 years ago. You've got some standard things going on. It's got no real high quality things, but maybe it's got some really updated living spaces, master bedrooms. Maybe it barely made that Q3 rating for you. You're looking at a tile or laminate kitchen flooring, but then you have some carpet there that does not look like high quality carpet. It looks like thin, low quality carpet. You've got wood trim, wood doors. You've got no stove for whatever reason. And you've got some awkward lighting. Let's take a look at what we have. It is a condition 4 rating, right? Condition rating 4. The home is adequately maintained and kept in good condition. No doubt about it. There are minor needs for refurbishment and with evidence on deferred maintenance or declined, right? So where's the evidence of deferred maintenance or decline? Where's the minor needs for refurbishment? Well, we see the outdated features like the wood trim and the very thin carpet, right? Those are things that say, hey, it needs refurbishment. There's deferred maintenance or decline because you see that within some of the wear and tear from the flooring or the siding or the dooring if you look real close at it. But the biggest thing that makes it a C4 is that it's adequately maintained. It's kept in what I would consider good condition, but it's missing appliances, all right? And those appliances are a part of the condition. It's missing built-in appliances. And any missing appliances automatically takes you from a 3 to a 4, even if it is good. So it has some need for cosmetics, cosmetic updating, which is what we talked about on the C4 rating slide. You know, you look at it, it's functional, it's there, but maybe it needs some cosmetic refurbishment, and it's missing appliances. These are telltale signs of a C4 rating. Now, once again, it looks like a decent home. It's kept in good shape, but that condition rating is a 4 by most standards. All right, in conclusion, a special thanks. That concludes the C rating lesson here. Once again, I want to thank McKissick Learning. I am not a sponsor or an influencer of McKissick Learning. I think they do a great job. They provided the condition rating definitions. They also provided the Q rating definitions straight from their website and everything else. This is Scott Family Real Estate. This is your DIY Home Valuation Mastery School. And I will see you for Lesson 2 exam. Thank you so much, and see you later.